everyone. We are going to get started today. We have a couple items on the agenda, but we're going to start with a short presentation. And then commissioners, just to remind you about a couple things. Right after Cal, we are going to go into executive session, so I'll call for that motion at the end. And that is to review a legal opinion. And then we have public safety today at 11:30, down in 601, I believe, or is it here in the chambers? Down in 601. And then we have legislative committee at 12:30, and then we have our strategic planning process at 1:30, and then we're back in here tonight at 7. So we have a full day, and so hopefully you are well rested and you find time to eat. So with that, we'll get started. And we have Ginny here, or Suzanne, are you going to tee this up? So first on our agenda this morning is an update on the work we have been doing around being an age-friendly city. So many of you know last year we passed a formal city commission resolution with a commitment to being an age-friendly city. We pulled together an age-friendly advisory committee. Some of you serve on that, so thank you. And then yesterday, Commissioner Kelly and I were at a celebration lunch, hearing about the update and the work that's been done over the last 6 months. So, Suzanne, you want to take it from there?
You just took all of it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. As was mentioned, this work has been ongoing. It's been so great because it really started out kind of as a slow, quiet process with partnership with the ARP, discussions with the mayor and Commissioner Kelly, and trying to figure out what this is going to be. And a lot of communities right now are looking at becoming age-friendly, and the ARP has done some really great work around livable communities. And if you go to their website, you can find tons of really great information about different types of housing, transportation, lots of things that actually you discuss here at the dais. And in working with them and having those discussions, we thought it would be a very good thing to become certified as an age-friendly community. During our listening sessions, we started off with 3 listening sessions. I had the opportunity to meet Virginia Smith, and Ginny came up and said, "How can I help? I'm interested in this topic. She was very enthusiastic about it." And Ginny has ended up being our coordinator for this whole project, which is so fabulous to have an older adult leading the conversation with peers out in the community, and her passion has been amazing for this work. And want to thank the mayor and Ruth for all of your support in this. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Ginny.
Great. Thank you, Suzanne. Ginny, welcome, and as you get started, I want to say we're so grateful for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for this opportunity to update you on what we've been doing in this last year. So as you can see on the first slide, we've included the strategic priorities that we've been talking about, and we believe that the work that we've been currently and have already done with Age Friendly really coordinates with those priorities. In the next slide, what is an age-friendly city? The phrase was first used in 2006 with the World Health Organization. They were looking ahead at all of these babies that were born after World War II that were going to be turning 65 and aging, and they felt like the cities needed to be prepared in 8 key domains. And in the upper right-hand corner, you see those listed. So in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, you'll see the dark pink areas of our city. Those are the parts of our city where we have the largest populations of our older adults. So we not only reached out to leaders in the city and in our neighborhoods, and we also reached out to representatives from our business community that are already serving our older adults. We asked them, do you think we should move forward with becoming an age-friendly community? And the answer was yes. Then we did 23 listening events reaching out to our older adults in the city, not only in those areas that you see where we have our largest populations, but we also reached out to our Hispanic community and our African American community. We had a listening event reaching out to the older adults in the LGBTQ community. We also reached out to disability advocates of Kent County. We reached out to our older adults who are currently homeless, and we reached out to the refugee community. At one point, Grand Rapids was number 4th in the nation as far as refugees. And then I also did 2 presentations at Grand Valley Honors College, reaching out to our future doctors and business owners. So as the mayor said, we had a celebration yesterday. Last summer, we convened a Mayor's Advisory Council, and they worked on goals and recommendations in the 4 areas that popped to the top in our listening events. And those areas were outdoor spaces, housing, transportation, and communication. As you can see on the right, for us to become an age-friendly accredited city, it's a 3-phase process, and we are currently in phase 1. So when the mayor sent in her letter of commitment to ARP and WHO last summer, saying that yes, Grand Rapids does want to move forward, what that did is it enrolled us in the national and global communities of networks of age-friendly communities. So that started a clock ticking. So we are probably maybe about 6 months into that clock ticking. We're currently in phase 1. So what we've been doing is planning, and we currently have goals and recommendations in each of those 4 areas, but we need to do more. So we also need to have timelines, we also need to have progress indicators, and we also need to identify stakeholders and partners. That's part of the work that we're going to be doing this summer. These are the 4 domains that pop to the top. And this is the goal and recommendations in transportation. When our advisory council looked at the comments, and we received more than 2,000 comments from our older adults, the advisory council really focused on security and safety. It's important that our older adults feel safe as they're traveling across the city. Outdoor spaces, again, the advisory council and the work groups focused on safety. Our older adults want to be able to walk, and they want to be able to walk year-round. So ice and snow became a very important issue. Under housing, again, our advisory council focused on security. This time it was not taking advantage of our older adults. Connie Bohatch, we also worked with Carlos from the Grand Rapids Housing Commission, and Commissioner Kelly has been working on housing and Housing Now. So the advisory council felt it was really important to support the programs that we already have in place and then continue those discussions. And then under communication, we heard all across the city that our older adults want to have one place where they can go for information. So for instance, if you have an emergency, you have one phone number to call, which is 911. You talk to somebody, you tell them what your need is, and then they will put you in touch with a person or the agency that can help you, whether it's medical emergency, whether it's police or fire. We have 311 here at the city. If you have a question on who do I talk to, who can help me at the city, you make one phone call, talk to someone, and they can put you in touch with a person who's going to help you. So our older adults are asking for something like that for all issues senior. So instead of making 17 phone calls trying to find housing that's going to fit for your parents, it would be wonderful if you could go to one place, tell your story one time. So next steps. We expect that our Mayor's Advisory Council will continue to guide our process as we move forward this next year. We're going to be putting in place task forces that will be created around those 4 key domains. And then we will prioritize, because it's really important that we have goals that we can accomplish. We know we can't accomplish everything, but we need to look at what can we do reasonably with our time frame and with the resources that we have in place. This is a picture of some of the members of our Mayor's Advisory Council. And again, you see at the bottom we included the values, because we feel like those values really epitomize the work that we've already done and that we will continue to do. That's it. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Jenny. So I'll turn to my colleagues. Colleagues, any questions for Jenny? Yeah, Commissioner Kelly?
I just want to say thank you, Jenny, for all the work that you've done. 23 sessions and then some additional ones with professors and students at Grand Valley. That's impressive, and you have always made a huge effort to consider diversity and inclusion and equity in your work, so we appreciate that you've come alongside the city. She's not here today, but I also want to thank Jennifer Firestein for her work as the head of ARP in Grand Rapids. So thank you. Really appreciate all this effort. It's coming to fruition, and it's very exciting to see this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager, did you have any questions?
I too want to thank Jenny and the staff for the work on on this presentation. This is very important work, and it's very inclusive, because if we're all fortunate enough, this is one of the parts of our community that we will all be able to become a part of it one day. And I want to thank the staff for the work on this.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And we're eager to support Phase 2. So please keep us posted and let us know how we can be helpful.
Okay,
All
very
right,
much.
thank you. Thank you, Ginny. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our action items before us. And our first one is a resolution to approve the request for a temporary authorization for the Luck of the Irish. This is at the Waldron Public House. Many of us know it as Irish on Ionia.
Support.
All right, great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we received the application for Luck of the Irish. It has been reviewed by all required departments and is being recommended for approval.
Great. I think we're all familiar with this event. Some of us have attended in the past. We'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Thank you. All right, next that will take us to a resolution authorizing an agreement with Wilderness Inquiry for the canoe-mobile, and that takes place at Riverside Park in the amount of $10,000.
So moved. Support.
All right, David, you want to tell us about this?
Absolutely. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Canoe Mobile with Wilderness Inquiry, a partner with ours from Minnesota, is coming back to Grand Rapids for a third year. We are very excited about this. This is a partnership with Grand Rapids Parks and Recreation and Grand Rapids Public Schools. The first year we did it, the Parks Department paid for the cost. Second year we had a grant from Wege Foundation. This year we are doing everything right, as far as I can tell so far, splitting those costs between GRPS and the City Parks Department. To deliver and put over 1,000 Grand Rapids public school children on the water again for a paddling experience. So this is supplemented by on-land educational opportunities in addition to that paddling experience. We're incredibly grateful for this opportunity to do this. This is a contract for approval. And this year, for the first year, the details are still coming together, but we will be having a VIP paddle event. So stay tuned for more details on that.
Very nice, very nice. So, Commissioners, I think I've gone out every year that they've been here, the last 2 years, and I get out on the boats with the students. So I encourage all of you who are interested in doing that to join me. It really is a ton of fun. And if I remember, it was 8th graders, correct?
It was, yes.
8th graders the last 2 years?
Correct.
And they are a hoot to spend time with. So it was a lot of fun. So David, thank you. I love that they're here. I remember the first time I heard about Wilderness Inquiry.
Yeah.
I heard they were over in Detroit, and I'm like, well, we need them here in Grand Rapids. So
Been great.
thank you for making it happen.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments? All right, and David, before I call the question, let's just make sure that we get the dates on the commissioners' calendars in case they do want to
I'll send
get
those out.
involved.
Very good.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries.
Thank you.
All right, next that will take us to a resolution authorizing execution of agreements for implementation of the compliance plan for the indigent defense standards 1 through 4 as required by the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission.
So moved.
Support.
All right, Connie Bohat, you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to be aware that Court Administrator Gary Secor is here, who is really the expert on all of this, but it is coming through the Community Development Department. And this item is brought to you due to state legislation that amended the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission Act by doing 3 things. First, it moved the MIDC from the State Judiciary Branch to the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, also more commonly known as LARA. 2, clarifying the definition of local systems as trial court funding units, what we would refer to as cities and counties. And 3, requiring LARA to approve proposed minimum standards for the indigent defense. The MIDC proposed 12 standards, and the first 4 are required to be implemented now. So that's what you are taking action on, is that the city submitted and received approval last April for a compliance plan to address those first 4 standards. More specifically, Standard 1 deals with training and education of counsel, and the city's plan intends to contract with the Grand Rapids Bar Association to provide training and track required continuing education credits. Standard 2 deals with initial client interviews, working with the Kent County Jail, Michigan Department of Corrections, and the detention centers to ensure that public defense attorneys are assigned and meet with clients within 72 hours or 3 business days. Standard 3, use of investigation and experts. This will require us to develop a list that's available to attorneys, a list for investigators and expert witnesses, and also to have funding available to pay for that. Standard 4, counsel at first appearance and other critical stages. The city will issue a actual solicitation to obtain attorneys to provide this service, and so we will have, the plan calls for 6 in our court system. So as the plan is outlined, implementation will cost approximately $482,000. The majority of that, or well over the majority, is through a state grant totaling $309,188. The rest of it is our local share. That local share was budgeted in the current fiscal year, so FY19, and we are now ready to have those agreements with the state signed and move into all the other necessary requirements. So this authorization today allows the city manager to execute all related agreements necessary to implement the compliance plan. And so I don't know if Gary wants to add anything, or if you'd like him to.
Yep.
Answer any questions?
Gary, is there anything
Okay.
Connie missed or you would like to add?
Mayor,
Thanks for being here.
only if there's any questions. I mean, I would just like to indicate, as Connie indicated, there were 12 standards developed by the commission. This is only the first 4. Standards 5 through 8 are currently under review and anticipate implementation of those sometimes in 2022. These standards can only be implemented if the state of Michigan provides funding to implement them. Without funding, they don't have to be implemented.
Okay. Thank you. I know many of us recall this, that when these standards were passed, which are good standards, our largest complaint was it was an unfunded mandate by the state, and the state had to back it up with support. So I'm glad that they provide a state grant and funding to do this. I wish it covered 100% of the cost, but appreciate your work on this. Commissioners, and
I'd
I'm
just
sorry,
like
go
to
ahead.
note this is a significant shift in the delivery of services under the judiciary. The whole court appointments council system is being removed from the judiciary and placed on the funding units. And full implementation will take place when standards 5 through 8 are implemented.
Okay. Great, thanks. Commissioners, any questions for either Connie or Gary?
Not at this point.
No? Okay. All right, well, appreciate your work on this. I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next, Commissioners, I'm going to call the question to go into executive session. Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Support.
All right, and this is a voice call, so I'll start down here with Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes?
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
And Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
And yes for me. So, Commissioners, we're going to head downstairs right away to the law library.